What does it feel like to be on the winning side of a culture war? Did you ever expect that? Because based on the numbers and based on the data and based on the scoreboard, you boys are on the winning side of the culture war. And these multinational trillion-dollar corporations are losing.
I guess I always figured it would turn eventually just when the money ran out, because however much they might believe in their messaging or their political causes, ultimately they can't keep making stuff if they don't have money anymore. And they can only sustain so many flops, so many failures before they have to do something. And that's kind of what it feels like now. It's starting to see that turning point. And it's good to see. I mean, man, like, I just want to see them make good films again, good TV shows, give us some good entertainment that lets us escape from the humdrum existence that a lot of us have. It's like, nice.
You have the Carl Weathers.
I had to pay tribute to the great man himself today.
Can we see for the camera? Get to the chopper.
Get to the chopper.
I didn't have an Apollo Creed T-shirt to hand, so this will have to do.
I gotta get one today.
There's Carl Weathers has been here, like in this room. There's multiple signed photos of him on the wall.
That is cool.
So we stand in the presence of glory.
I'm in a bar, and it's a bar that had Carl Weathers in it, so that's pretty good to me.
Die Harder.
Yeah.
I think they actually made that movie with Bruce Willis. I think that's
The sad thing is, though, that, like, whether or not the tide turns, the damage that's been done to all of these franchises is kind of irreparable, because we've now no longer got the ability to have a Star Wars movie with Luke, Han, and Leia in it.
Yes.
You know, the actors have passed away or they're too old now. We're not going to see another great Star Trek movie. And it's such a loss, because that time is now past and we're not going to get it back. And the movies that they have made, these new Star Wars films, they're never going to be undone. They can never be erased from history. And again, that's something that we're never going to get past, unfortunately, which is a shame.
Why the creative bankruptcy? Why the cultural decay? What's the difference between now and the 80s? There's all these photos of stars from the 80s. Carl Weathers is up there doing the why no more memes like that? Why no more of that? That's classic. It's incredible.
We've lost testosterone in Hollywood, that's for sure. Yeah. But the other problem is budgets. Like, movies are costing $200-300 million now, whereas these films that we talk about fondly from the 80s, like The Predators or The Commandos or The Terminator Part 1, you know, they were done for like $10 million, $20-30 million, peanuts in today's money.
Yeah.
And so you can afford to take more risks with films like that, because there's not as much money at stake. When you're sinking $300 million on a film, it has got to succeed. And so they end up being super safe. Like, what is the most guaranteed, easy way to make money? We'll take an existing franchise with a built-in fan base, a character that's beloved, and we'll resurrect them. We'll bring old actors back who aren't doing so much now and bring them in and use it as a launch pad to launch a new franchise with younger, cheaper actors. That's what they think they're going to do. And it ends up, they produce like the blandest, most corporatized garbage imaginable. And this is why we end up with the creative bankruptcy, because they don't want to take risks, because there's too much at stake.
But there are no more movie stars. Like, so my wife is just a simple observer of culture, right? She's what you'd call a consumer. They're just your basic consumer who will go see the things she likes or go follow the trends that she would like to follow. She asked the other day, is there a movie star that's even remotely our age? And we couldn't name one, actually.
No.
Like, we couldn't name one. I'm 37. And we couldn't name like a proper movie star that's 37 years old.
No. I mean, even guys like The Rock, which was always tipped, he was going to be the next Arnold Schwarzenegger. He's 50 now. And for all the films he's made and all the money he's made, name one of them that had any influence on the culture. They don't have any cultural impact. They're just money-making endeavors.
Yes.
That's all they are.
Is there going to be a class action lawsuit by white people who are working in Hollywood saying this is by the letter of the law, the 1964 Civil Rights Act says you cannot discriminate against race?
No, they would never have the balls to do it.
No.
Not one person. It would have to be a collective movement of like hundreds of different people, because whoever does it is going to get blacklisted for the rest of their natural lives for daring to speak out about this.
Hollywood makes movies about how bad the communist scare was and the Red Scare and how unfair it was for communist directors and producers.
And they're doing the same thing.
To be put on blacklists, but,
Well,
but now they're being put on whitelists, right?
They're gradually
turns out there
purging
was a
their
bunch of
ranks.
commies in Hollywood too. So
Shocker. It's a real shocker.
turns
there.
out that was kind of true.
But what you're seeing is a gradual purge of the ranks of people in Hollywood, the creatives, the writers, the producers. They're slowly being purged of the wrong kind of people. And so at every level, you're getting these people in who just believe in the cause, believe in the message. The message. Tick some box or other. And those are the people that are now destroying the industry because they don't have the talent to back up their positions.
So that's across industries. My mentor, Andrew Breitbart, used to say that politics is downstream of culture, and culture was the nexus. Hollywood obviously creates a huge portion of culture, along with sports, recording industry, and media industry. But politics then responds to that. Mm-hmm. And so I'm begging for Hollywood to learn the error of their ways. Because the faster Hollywood does that, the faster the political world actually corrects itself. Because it has to happen in that order, right? And so, like, will Hollywood learn their ways? Or is it like Leroy Jenkins going on right now, where it's like they're just going to go down? They will never apologize, and they'll bankrupt the entire industry. The Hollywood sign will be in flames before anybody apologizes.
I think it's Hollywood and culture, the relationship between them is not like hierarchical, it's cyclical. So
yes,
Hollywood is both a reflection and an influence on culture. It reacts to what it thinks culture is because it wants to try and reflect what the modern audience wants. But it also then, because of what they're producing, it has that mass influence on the thinking of their audience. And so it moves in a cycle. And the problem is it becomes self-reinforcing. So they think that this is what people want. They see it on social media particularly. They're hugely guilty of this. Social media is not reality. And the kind of people who spend most time on it are not real people.
Yeah.
And so they react to that for an audience that doesn't even exist. And then they act surprised when their movies fail time and time again.
Like, so typically in the political world, you know, ridicule is the last place. So bad news cycles happen, then ridicule happens, you become a joke, and then you have to, like, resign, right? Like,
yeah.
There's so much shame that's heaped upon you because of your political misdeeds in my arena that you must just go away. But it seems like Kathleen Kennedy and many of the people in Hollywood are insulated from even ridicule, societal ridicule.
Yeah, the problem is they've got the mainstream media on their side.
Yeah.
Whereas politicians don't. In theory, at least, the political press will criticize anyone who fucks up in some way, whereas people like her can make all the mistakes under the sun. The mainstream media will almost never criticize them. And as long as you have that layer of protection, the only people who are speaking out are in the YouTube space, the social media space. But we're unofficial, so our words don't carry any weight.
So it does seem so easy to bitch about things, but so hard to create. And that actually seems like maybe the trap that many on the, many of the Marxists and the wokesters that have taken over Hollywood, they're like finally learning that trap. That, like, they bitched about white male dominance and they created whatever they needed to create to go find and knock it down. And now they're stuck with, like, well, okay, now you're the creator, go.
Yeah.
Right?
I think
and so I guess my question is, how do we not get caught in that same trap?
He's already doing it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, on a very small scale, but I'm starting out, and so I'm throwing my hat into the ring, making a short film based on my books that I've written. That's not going to change anything in the wider sense, but it's a start, and it's like just an example of the independent scene, I guess, starting to create stuff of our own.
Yes.
And you get this with fan videos, you get other YouTubers who've done crowdfunding to start their own movies, and it's starting to happen. It's like I say, it's on a small scale at the moment, but there's such an enormous pool of people who have creative talent and who have creative visions, and now they have the opportunity to do it, because if they get to a decent level, they can crowdfund it. It's like the democratization of filmmaking.
Yes.